everyone, it's Summit. So in H right now, you are talking about soil composition and properties, and we're going to do a couple little demos today that talk about that. So the first one we're going to do is going to talk about soil horizons and different compositions of sand, silt, and clay in different soil samples. And the second one we're going to do is about water holding capacity and water retention within soil samples that have certain compositions. So let's get started. I only have a mason jar, so this is redneck science. So the soil sample I'm collecting is the sample I will use for both demos, and I thought it would be interesting to see what the composition is like at the bank of the lake. So I've got my jar full of dirt here, and I can already tell from digging it up in the color and the texture it's going to be a lot of clay, but we're going to go and do a demo that shows us the specific ratio of sand, silt, and clay in the sample. So let's go ahead and go into the house so we can fill it up with water. And we're back. So I've already separated out the soil so that we can use this for our second demo. But we're going to go ahead and work on this one. So we're going to fill this all the way up pretty much with water. Then we're going to shake it up so it looks really nice and nasty. And then we're going to let it sit for 24 hours. So after we fill it up with water, we won't touch this for a while. So let's do that. Just make sure it's all well combined and it's all nasty. And yeah, so we're gonna let this sit for 24 hours, and then after it sits, our layers should form with our sand, silt, and clay. So now we're gonna be looking at the water holding capacity of this sample. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a coffee filter and put it on top of here, and then I'm gonna pour the dirt in the filter and then add in some water, and we're gonna see how much water gets through the filter and into the jar and how much we end up with. And that'll tell us what our soil is primarily made up of, so we can guess before we actually see the horizons themselves. So we can see that right when I pour in the water, there's like a rush through the filter, and that might be because some is coming through the sides. I did not double layer this, by the way. After only a moment of it coming out pretty fast, we see that it's only down to a slow drip. And our soil up here is already soaked, it's saturated. So this might tell us that it is primarily made of clay, because as you can see, there's not too much water that has gotten through too far. It does let some water seep through, which means it's not all clay, it's not super tightly packed. However, it is doing a pretty good job at holding in a lot of the moisture. So just out of curiosity, I'm going to repeat this exact same thing, but with a double layer of a filter. So we can see it's about the same with that initial rush right when I pour it. So the filter isn't really making a huge difference. This is mainly having to do with the soil itself, and counted for the fact that there might be some of the water that is coming down the sides where the rim is, so it's slipping in between. But overall, this is showing us that our soil has kind of a medium to high water holding capacity, because it's not going right through. Some of it is being held within the soil, but it is pretty rapid at first, the water that goes through it. So that, my friends, is water retention, and I will see you in 24 hours to look at our horizons. Welcome back. It's been 24 hours later, and our layers have formed very nicely. And starting at the top, it'll be clay, silt, and sand. You can see that it's actually more sand than we might have thought. It's got about an equal ratio of clay and silt, maybe a little more clay, but has a lot of sand in there. So now here is your task. Google a lovely image of a soil triangle. So Google that, and I'm going to take the liberty of taking the measurements for you, but using the measurements that I'm about to give you, I want you guys to determine what exact type of soil this is using your soil triangle. Okay, so if your total soil sample is 4.5 centimeters, and you have 2.5 centimeters worth of sand at the bottom, 1 centimeter worth of silt, and about 1.25 centimeter worth of clay at the top, what is your soil composition / type going to be? So that was a brief recap on soil composition, soil properties, a little bit about water holding capacity in soil, and I hope you guys have a fun time soil triangling, and I'll see you later. Bye!